Dear friends, it's a very sad day for the country today. Once again, the nation is forced to witness a tragic and brutal act against a young woman who dared to step into a profession dominated by men. A postgraduate trainee doctor, full of dreams and determinations, was not just silenced, she was erased. And what will follow? Promises, more promises, empty words from those in power, assurances that safety will be prioritized, that this will never ever happen again. But we've heard these words before, isn't it? This is not just about one woman, one profession, or one horrific incident. This is about a systemic failure that persists because of the glaring underrepresentation of women in decision making roles across our country. Let me explain with some data points. To empathize, understand, and solve the problem of women, we need to have more women in power, in policy making, and in lawmaking. But it doesn't seem to be happening. India has about 30 cabinet ministers, of which just 2 are women. In Lok Sabha, we have 542 members, but just 78 are women, which is 14.4%. In Rajya Sabha, it's much more dismal as a picture. Of the 224 Rajya Sabha members that we have, just 24 or 10.7% are women. At IAS, which is the administrative wing of the country, between 1951 and 2020, we actually had 11,569 IAS officers. But of this, only 1,527 were women, which is just 13%. Thankfully, in the latest UPSC 2023 data that we've seen, of the 1,016 who qualified to be IAS officers, 352 are women, which is 34%. But overall, this requires a dramatic shift in terms of more IAS officers being women so that we can actually give a fair representation of women at IAS, which are deciding and implementing the policies of the government. The 6.1% of the women IAS officers resign voluntarily. Again, men normally is 1.6%. So there is 4 times chances that a women IAS officer resigns as compared to a man. In law enforcement, as of 2020, of the total police force that we have in the country, only 12% are women. And if you look at the IPS officers or people in power who can actually take decisions in police force, just 8.7% are women. To understand the problem of women, I think we need to start teaching or training our children very, very early in their lives. And that can happen at academic institutions. So for this, we try to understand how many vice chancellors are women in the country. In 2015, of the total 431 universities that we had in 2015, just 13 were women vice chancellors. That is just 3%. By 2023, thankfully, it started moving up because of the 1,164 universities that we have in the country, 70 seem to be women vice chancellors. That is 6%. But it's very, very woefully short of what happens globally. Globally, of the top 200 universities you have in the world, 50 of them are held by a women vice chancellor. So that is 25%. So we are 6% at this point in time, whereas globally it's about 25%. Thankfully, India has really moved ahead in terms of literacy rates for women and a fair share for the women. So it's about 52 to 48 ratio, which is happening in terms of undergrad level higher education that is happening in the country. But when you deal with skills, when you deal with diplomas, when you deal with professional education, women again are falling very, very short. For example, the total diploma takers in the country, of the total diploma takers that you have in the country, 64% diplomas are being taken by boys as compared to girls taking just 36% of them. Right, at a STEM courses level, at undergrad level, 71% are boys who are taking engineering and technology courses as compared to 29% women. At a post-graduation level, it is about 68% male to 32% female. So essentially, if you look at STEM and diplomas and all, the ratio is about 70% boys to about 30% girls. And these are essentially skill courses, employment courses, and professional courses. Even at CAT examination, if you look at it, the total number of girls who take that examination is 36% as compared to boys, which is 64%. And this continues to be the case in most professional examinations that we have in the country. Now, let us come to the medical education part of it, right? The World Health Organization says that the women visit doctors 5.4 times a year as compared to men, which is 4.1 times a year. That's a 31% more need for women to consult a doctor or visit a healthcare facility. The OECD survey says that women aged between 15 to 64 have 1.3 times the doctor consultations as men do. The National Family Health Survey of India between 2019 and 21 also had a similar set of numbers. In the age group of 15 to 49, 46% women visit a doctor as compared to 39% of men. In fact, 89% of births in India were delivered at the healthcare facility. 70% of the women sought antenatal health care after the birth of a baby. But With so much of need for women to actually visit a healthcare facility, are they fairly represented in the hospitals or in the healthcare setup, right? The doctors in India, only 29% are women, 71% are men. While women need more healthcare services, it is dominated by men. The nursing staff, by the way, is 80% women. ASHA workers is 100% women. But when you take healthcare leadership, it's just 18% are women. So at a doctor level, at a healthcare leadership level, at a board level, it's only 17%. And in fact, the women's workforce in India's healthcare sector earns 34% less than their male counterparts. And the rot actually starts with the Indian Medical Association. Indian Medical Association was formed in 1928. It saw 94 presidents helming it for so many years. But of these 94 presidents that IMA had, only one was a women president. 93 of them were men. Right? In 2024, as we speak now, of the total 17 office bearers that IMA has, there is only one women office bearer, 16 of them are men. So at a policy level, at a decision-making level, you actually have a massive underrepresentation of women or healthcare setup, while there is greater need for women to be seeking out a healthcare thing. In fact, the gender representation in medical education, if you look at it, Aisha report gives us some hope, because in MBBS, you actually have 51% boys and 49% girls currently pursuing MBBS. And this is 2021 data. At an MD level, which is post-graduation, 47% are boys and 53% are women. So it is actually in favor of girls at this point in time. But the data of the past is still, becoming a problem for us, because only 29% are girls, women are doctors. And there is massive gender disparity in some states which need to be addressed dramatically, right? In Meghalaya, only 36% doctors are women. In West Bengal, 36.6% are girls and about 64% are boys. Assam, it's 41% girls and 59% boys. Rajasthan, it's 41% girls and 59% boys. So there is a massive underrepresentation of women in healthcare facilities in some of these states that needs to be addressed. When we look at all this data, one thing is very clear. India is not a nation for women. These numbers are more than statistics. They are the measure of a failure as a society. They are the reason why women continue to be brutalized, marginalized, and treated as second-class citizens. Why are we still here in 2024 with women needing to seek protection from the very men who perpetuate the systems that oppress them? Why is it that every time a woman is assaulted or killed, we are left to grieve, to protest, but never to see lasting change? This cannot go on. Women must rise to demand what is rightfully theirs, not as a favor from the men, but as an inherent right. Representation, power security, these are non-negotiable. The outrage we feel must not dissipate until every woman in this country is safe, until every woman has a voice that is heard and respected, until every woman can walk into a hospital, a government office, a police station, or a parliament and see that she belongs there, not as a token, but as an equal. And till we see such systemic changes, India will not be a nation for women. Thank you. Namaskar.